Hello, everybody. Once again, I'm William Crafton Jr., aka Overwatch on Less Than Guru. So today, I'm going to talk about the Bounty Hunter. A lot of these men at arms probably won't take very long, but that's fine. Kind of like my species, some of those didn't take too long either. So the Bounty Hunter in the Yin Sloth jungle has probably 3, 4, 5 different titles. It's like Bounty Hunter slash Enforcer slash Slaver slash something. I just condense it. Again, I'm all for condensing things and eliminating redundancies. So I think Bounty Hunter encapsulates a fighter type who goes out to capture somebody. It's not always dead or alive. Sometimes they want the person back alive, so then they can kill them. Do justice. But that's one of the bounty hunters' things, is that it's not always going to be a dead thing that they want to bring back. So that's kind of what I was looking at. So again, this one I did give, I guess, 2 paragraphs. Attribute requirements. Pretty certain they're straight out of the Insloth Jungle book. Needed an IQ of an 8. Kind of figure out your mark is out there, and you have to figure out how to capture it. And then the high 15 of the PS is because you are going to get somebody back alive. You're going to have to be strong enough to manhandle them back. Alignment, it could be any. There can be the principal bounty hunters that see a travesty of justice take place, and they go out. They're not going to kill the person. They're going to bring them back for justice. Or you're going to have the selfish people that are just doing it for money, and then you're going to have the evil people out there that are just doing it because that's how they get their kicks, and maybe those are the ones going after the dead or alive so they can bring them back dead. So I didn't see any reason to have an alignment restriction, but since they are physical and they again are going to need conditioning, they get the high physical conditioning of 8. Armor tier, though, they're not going to be wearing plate armor. They're not going to be wearing plate and chain. They're going to want to be able to run, to capture whoever they are pursuing. If they dash, the bounty hunter is going to want to dash after them, but they will have moderate protection because, again, it is a fighting type class. It is a man of arms, so that's why I gave them tier 2. On that, no restrictions, so there's nobody who can't be a bounty hunter. Occupational skills, as I said in the last episode, this is the ones that they all get. Pretty much straight from the Insloth Jungle book. And then here's the level chart that I explained in my occupational video. Is that at level 1, that's your elective and your secondary skills. So sometimes it's straight out of the book. I just found places because I wanted something gained at every level. So that's the big gain. That's kind of how your character starts. At level 2, they get 2 additional hit points. They're men of arms. They're going to have better conditioning. And this is the one way that hit points, other than increasing your physical endurance, is the one way that you can gain more hit points. So over the long run, when everybody is rolling a D6 every level for shot points, the bounty hunter and other men of arms are going to have a hit point increase because they're physical. And then at level 3, they get a kick attack. I'm actually not sure if I added this, or it might have been in the Insloth Jungle. It might have been something that I poached from another Palladium game, but I felt that it would make sense. And so it's 2ds. So normally a kick in my game is your size die, and that's where the S comes from. So a medium creature would do 1ds with a kick or a punch. This allows a person to kick at 2d size. So that medium creature, a medium player character, will be doing 2d6 plus their physical bonus. And the cool little bonus I added to it is it does double damage to SDC. So in my game, SDC is strictly for structures, not for people. So doors and armors and stuff like that. So the bounty hunter, they know how to kick down that door and do more damage to get through that door. They know how to kick that person's armor to knock the person down later coming up, but to do damage to that armor so that armor no longer protects. Because when you get down a certain number of SDC, the armor rating goes down, and then when you get down further, it goes down even further than that. So that is something that we felt was appropriate, and that's what they get at third level. At fourth level, that's where you gain more secondary skills. Fifth level, you get 3 more shock points. So again, you're increasing yourself. And when we get to my men of magic and other things, you'll see how they don't get these at all. So this is kind of the offset. They don't get spells and stuff, but they are getting more hit points. They are getting more shock points. They can be the true people defending the weak people in the back and getting into combat and have that survivability. And then at level 6, that's where you get your 4 elective skills. I tried to keep it what it was in the original game, but sometimes I had to move them, adjust them to fit these other things in it. 7 is the knockdown kick. That's where you do a sweeping kick that does no damage, but it knocks the opponent down, and then they lose an action for that round. So it's a way to get them down and keep them down, basically, so then they could manhandle them and get them in medicals or whatever. And then after that, it's basically a alternation of 2 hit points, because hit points are more valuable, so I don't want them to be as many. That's where your life is, but they get 2 hit points, and then it alternates with 3 shock points. So 2 hit points, 3 shock points, choose 4 more secondary, 2 hit points, choose 4 elective, 3 shock points, 2 hit points, 3 shock. So everybody gets something every level, even if it's just a handful of shock points or a couple of hit points. But this one does get a couple of abilities at level 3 and level 7 that it can do that nobody else can do, to make them unique. As well as then we get into the elective skills. Again, the elective skills, these are the only ones they can take. And instead of listing out a whole list of weapon proficiencies, I usually just put WP. If they only have a few, I write each one of those out in a line. This one, they can do anything except for the lance. So that's where I put the exception. So I didn't have to do a whole list and keep this to the one page with a picture. And then the secondary skills, they can take any secondary skills. These are the ones that they get a bonus for. All of these are spot on the Palladium Yinsloth Jungle book, because that's where this occupational character class comes from, except for the redundant ones that I combine, and then I usually gave them the bonus for the higher one on that. But that's where that is. And then starting equipment, again, if they were one of the later books that each individual occupation gave equipment, then I kept that. But then for other occupations, I fleshed it out a little bit, because those later occupations got a lot more bang for your buck at level 1 than the ones in the core rule book. So I fleshed that out a little. And then the experience chart is the same as in Palladium, except for the last is not a 1. So in Palladium, it would have been 2061. So I have 2060. I explained that last video. And then the red means if you're in another occupation and you want to switch to bounty hunter, you're going to have to gain 2060 XP, the equivalent of going from level 1 to level 2 in the occupation to get this occupation. Once you do that, then that XP goes away. You get reset to 0, and then you move forward. You don't lose the XP that you had in your previous class, your occupation, but the middle ground that does disappear. So once again, I'm Liam Crafton Jr., aka Zorvalchan Less Than Guru. This is my bounty hunter, and this will be the way that the Palladium tips and tricks goes for the foreseeable future. So take whatever you want from any of this and use it to make your game better for you and your table. So until next time, I will catch you later.